And today it's with great pleasure and much gratitude that I welcome Leslie S. from Atlanta, who's come to share for about 30 minutes, after which we'll open up for general sharing. Leslie, thank you so much. It's wonderful to have you here with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Leslie Strange. I'm a recovered alcoholic, and it's good to see you guys all this early in the morning. Hey, my Sarah. There's my Sarah. Sweden. Hey, baby. That's baby Sarah, I call her. I'm supposed to share on the topic that I picked, and the wine of success. And that one jumped off the page. You know, I kind of spot read and went through a couple of them. And, oh, my God, there's so many ways I could take that. My sobriety date is November 2nd, 1988, by the way, and I have 34 years of continuous sobriety. And I came into the program one time at 28 years old, and I remain. It's such an amazing thing about the human psyche and the thinking and the mindset of an alcoholic. There's two different aspects there. An alcoholic's thinking, some of it's humanness, but then there's a portion of us that's defective thinking. I suffer from defective thinking. I suffer from the disease of perception or perspective. I suffer from egoism and selfishness and self-centeredness. I suffer from misjudgment, thinking that I'm right and they're wrong. I have to have the right and the wrong. I don't have the black and white capabilities a lot of time. I suffer from future tripping. Future tripping, that's a big one for me. Future tripping, it's the newest phrase now. Future tripping. If you haven't future tripped yet, you so in the future you don't see your future tripping. That's what I think. Future tripping is usually fear. I'm somewhere way ahead of where I'm not. What does that sound like? What does that look like? I mean, right now, it's something as minute as right now. It's 8 minutes after the hour. And today is Sunday. I could be future tripping on Tuesday afternoon. Doctor's appointment, interview, bills to be paid, something that needs to be done, or fear of something if it doesn't get done. Now it's 8 minutes after the hour on Sunday. And I'm so busy over there. No, this is just my opinion. This is my perspective. This is how I think. I'm sorry, it's weird, it's twisted. Some of you are going to go, yeah, I think like that. Some of you are going to go, she tripping, I don't get it. But stay with me for a minute. So when I came into the room of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I got this thing called alcoholism after they removed the alcohol from me and God removed the obsession. And then you guys gave me to understand that a large part of my problem was just not the fact that I drank too much. It wasn't necessarily the way I was raised. A large part of my problem is I have a spiritual disconnect. And I'm blocked with all this other character defects, shortcomings, future tripping, past tripping, that's called resentment. Right? So either I'm in the past, still pissed off, consciously or subconsciously, or I'm way ahead of the game, somewhere I don't belong. I'm predicting the future. So all of a sudden I become this lady with a crystal ball. Y'all, anybody in future tellers, fortune tellers? Now I already know how that's going to come out. So I paint this picture. Then I scare myself to death. So I tell myself scary stuff. Scare myself to death, then I stop relying upon the thing I've been disconnected from that drove me into my deepest defects of character. Does that make sense? Kind of connect. It's like a domino effect. So, so I drank, and I got loaded, and I took pills, and I snorted cocaine, then I smoked cocaine, and immoral sex conduct, that's me. Fear of financial insecurity all the time. I mean, if you're spending money on partying and drinking, you're going to be broke. All those things, one day, bam, grace, I accept grace, surrender comes up, now I'm in here. But then you guys didn't tell me that not only were you going to help me with the obsession or help me to surrender, teach me some things. There was some other stuff that needed to be changed. So then I go through the process. Now, I'm going to get to the as Bill sees it. But I'm trying to talk to whoever's new in here too, to give you my version of a vision for you, where you can be relieved of the bondage of this. Isn't that the driving force? Isn't that the thing that says, hey, go get you a drink? Isn't that the thing to say, hey, go get you, hey, go over there with you? It began right here. That's why they say that my disease centers in my thinking. Okay. So I get in here. I find out the true cause of my disease. I find out that once I take one, I can't stop. I can't stay stopped. I can't not get started. You guys say, hang out with us, do what we do, get a sponsor, get all of that. And it's so amazing about this program is once you start on this road to willingness, consistent, constant willingness, guess what? You start getting stuff. Things start coming to you. If you are employable, you can get a job. If you still got some brain cells left, you can go back to school. You still stick with your sponsor. You still work the steps. You get rid of the stuff blocking you from God. You get a better contact communication with God. You find out that your ego and pride is going to kill you. You experience some humility. You start turning it over to the program or the power of your own understanding. And then you get a job. And wait a minute, didn't they tell me I could possibly get a condo or a house? Oh, and then I got a guy. Oh, and then I married that guy. But what happens, I picked that part because success can be like alcohol. I can be drunk in my own ego. Let me share with you what I mean. The ego rebuilds itself. See, nobody told me that. That was something I had to experience. The ego will rebuild itself. Let me give you an example. I came into the rooms, I got married, I got into the work, got pregnant, had the baby, marriage didn't work, moved to Germany, came back to the U.S., marriage didn't work. Now I'm on welfare. Never been on welfare, public assistance in my entire life. That was something that it was unheard of. Food stamps? Me? Welfare check once a month or twice a month looking for your check? I always had jobs. But it's something about, I came in with a job, quit the job, moved to Germany, stayed sober through all of that, come back, and now I'm down to no car. I got a 2-year-old, and I'm back living with my mother. I'm disillusioned. I'm thinking my sobriety is supposed to be a constant growth up the ladder of success. What do you do with that? I'm pissed now. I'm pissed off at this God that I'm supposed to understand. See, I still have the agnostic attitude that I'm privileged. I'm supposed to get these things. I'm supposed to have a job. Aren't I, Jen? I'm supposed to be successful. I'm supposed to make income. I'm supposed to be, everything's supposed to set right in motion. When I stop drinking and using people and doing the steps and sponsoring people and speaking, all of this is supposed to be, okay, now it's supposed to be. No. In fact, the litmus test of the level of your sobriety and your recovery is how you handle situations that baffle you. How do you handle that good 6-figure job or less than that, the highest job you've ever had? How do you handle that job when they tell you, we've got to let you go and not get loaded? See, how do you handle when you can't make that car note and you have to hide the car in the garage and hopefully they don't see it and come take it? In fact, how do you handle if they do come take the car and your friends in the fellowship find out? Now, we can call that humility, but if you're living that don't feel good. How do I handle losing a house for whatever reason? How do I handle having to move and downsize because finances? How do we handle when our significant other or parent or family member gets sick and we have to take over and take care of them, almost to a financial loss? I mean, in this version that Bill talked, wine can be a success. The success of can be like wine. We become drunk by that, because what I've come to find out is I often forget who the giver of the gift was, because my ego has now regrown. This is a constant ego smashing program. That means for me, when I hit successful moments, like, let me give you an example. Right now, I have, for the last 3 years or more, I've been traveling more than I ever have with my guy, more than I ever have in my entire life. I've been able to go places and see things that I never thought I could see. Right now, I'm in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, beachfront view, at a conference in South Carolina. And someone asked a question a couple of weeks ago, and they said, how does it feel when you hear your name a lot, or you're called to speak a lot, or people know who you are? Or for me, to give you an example, I go places and, hey, I met you on Zoom, and I'm like, hey, I can't remember shit, but, oh, yeah, I remember you. But okay, how does that feel? Does my ego, how do I keep my ego in check? Sometimes I don't. I'm telling you the truth. 34 years, sometimes I don't. See, I'm that person that the big book talks about. I suffer from anxious apartment. I want to be up here. Now, some people may be better at the gift of humility than I am, but who doesn't want to feel like this? I don't know, there's a lot of people who are probably, if you ever been in entertainment or been on a stage and you do something and everybody goes, and they whistle and they clap, there's something euphoric. There's something about that rush. Young knows what that feels like, that euphoria of your peers, people looking up at the DJ booth, looking up, going, yeah, go, yeah. It's something about that. But see, if you have an alcoholic mind like mine, I want to be separate and apart from. That means, Val, I want to be better than you, and I want to feel better than you, and I want to know more than you, and I want to look better than you, and I want to have more than James, and I just, what this saying, and now as Bill sees it, is like, he's basically saying, why can't I just be one among many? What is it in the ego? The ego in my mind, in my thinking, in my ego. You know why? Because I forget the giver of the gift. I start praising the gifts and forget who made it happen. I start taking credit and I forget who gave me the ability. That's why it's so important to work with others constantly. Working with others constantly helps me to humble me, because I'm transparent with the ladies I talk about. I have one going through some stuff right now. She's talking about her car and it's about to be lost, and the mechanic, and they won't fix it and all this kind of stuff. And you know what? So I'm not here to guide you through every moment in life, but what I can do is share my experience of, baby, you might have to just sell that car. Yeah, you know, we get used to our car, we rolling up, we picking up newcomers, we jumping in our cars and in our automobiles, running the meetings just like, I got a new car too? What is anybody in here ever get a new car, or know somebody got a new car, and they park in the front of the meeting, sideways so nobody will hit it? But I want everybody to see my new car. Men, if you say that, you don't do that. Men are the worst. Anyway, I'm just blaming it. But I got a new convertible, baby. I'd drive, it'd be 2 degrees outside. I'd have an ear muff and scarf with a brand new convertible pull up in the front of me. What is it about my ego? What is it about that? I can become drunk on my own lies. I like to take credit. You know what? The big book says, I'll give you an example. The big book says, we need to quit playing God, right? Right? I admitted a couple years ago, I didn't want to play God. I wanted to be God. Who wants to play? I want to be God. I want to smite you. Tobias, I see you all the time. I don't like Tobias, so I want to move him over there. Sarah, she's too pretty. She's cuter than me, so I don't want her to show up at any meetings I go to. I want to be able to pick and choose. But isn't that it says selfishness and self-centeredness. Isn't that the basis of my disease? Isn't that one of the main cruxes of my problem? Because it's all about me. And my disease centers in here. So what makes me think I'm better than you, but we still got the same last name? Huh? What is it about me that needs to be separate and apart from me? And I think the program is designed to get us to look at ourselves, to humble ourselves, to give back to others. See, giving back to others keeps me humble because every time I hear another woman's story, every time I hear another man's story, I think, oh, I was like that. Or I'm like that now. That's why when I started talking to you, I immediately hit, these are some of my defects. These are some of the things I'm not good at. These are some of the things I have to wrestle with every day. Some woman, a wise woman told me one time, you don't celebrate the gift, you celebrate the giver of the gift. I'm going to take us back to the word grace. Grace is the unmerited favor. I didn't bargain. I didn't hustle. I didn't trick. I didn't prostitute myself. I didn't get God to give me grace. And humility will remain in place when I remember that it is by grace that I am sober today. It is by grace that I have a home to live in today. It is by grace that right now, as I understand it, at 24 minutes after the hour, my children are healthy today. See, I like to take credit because I want to be God. But by exploring and removing, separating the truth from the false, separating the real from the fake, being humbled every time I do a 10, 11, and a 12. Being humbled every time I do a 4, 5, and I see my 6 and 7, and see what areas are really weak in my recovery, in my spirit. By constantly going back and correcting the wrongs, going to my brother, who I took all of the family inheritance, didn't give him a dime, but going to him and saying, hey, I spent all mama's money. You were out drugging and smoking, so how can I help you? I'll just, whenever you need some money, I'll give it to you when you need it, and you need not pay it. Humility takes the drunkenness out of any type of self-imposed success. Constantly sweeping my soul and looking for dust and dirt in my soul, constantly confessing my mistakes to others, constantly seeking advisement before I make moves, constantly staying in constant contact with the power that gave me the ability to not get loaded, constantly remembering not to forget that last run, constantly coming in here and listening to other people share. You know what it's like? You ever get a phone? Anybody got a phone? You got phones. All of y'all got phones. I know you got phones and computers. I see you on them right now. And do you know if your phone or computer starts acting wonky and you go to the little geek, pimple face little kid that works at the computer place, and you say, my phone's not been acting right, and he looks, he says, oh, have you been updating your setting on your phone? And you go, no. Well, you didn't see it say time to update or schedule update, and you'll say, if you like me, oh, I saw that, but I didn't do it. Oh, you have to hit that button to update your device. And all the latest and the newest stuff will download automatically, and you won't have problems. You won't have to buy a phone every year. Well, that's what I call remembering not to forget from whence I come. That's what I call getting a newcomer, a new girl who got a ton of problems on her, doesn't know what to do with her. Her success is not banging. She's not all that anymore. And I'm looking successful over here because of God's gift and God's grace. But I stop and I sit and I talk to her, woman to woman, face to face, knee to knee, she and I. And I share with her the times that I didn't have a bed. When me and my son had to sleep in the same room, in the same bed. He's 5 and 6 years old. When I had a 1-bedroom apartment. When I had to use food stamps at the grocery store and I had 5 years sober. I share those things because the success is more appreciated when I remember from where God has brought me. The reason why I come to this room, and the reason why I use the analogy of the phone update, because what you guys do for me is keep me grounded, and groundingness is called humility. My spouse used to say something, I'm going to go back to that phone analogy. She used to say something early on. She said, baby, she would change houses. She'd sell a condo or get another house, and she'd drive up with a new car, and never phased her. And I'd be like, I would ask her, I was like, how do you go from a house, and how do you get the down payment? How do you keep doing that? She said, girl, none of this means anything to me. And I used to think, yeah, that's easy to say when you got it. Said, no, it doesn't. I've been sober and I've not had it. She told me all I need is my God, my big book, and you, God, and I'll be okay. I thought that was so theatrical. Me without my stuff, me without my car, my earrings, my jewelry, my shoes, my what? And as I get older, I start to understand that old lady. She used to say that. Now, I don't feel good losing stuff, but if I've got my sanity and I've got my sobriety and I've got my fellowship, you can get that back. There's dark spots. There's low spots. But the way that I remain humble and I don't treat these gifts of life and gifts of sobriety and take advantage of them. The way that I do that is I update my software. What's updating my software look like? Coming to a meeting and seeing Jen C and listening to Jen share. That updates my software. Coming to a meeting and seeing Tobias. Being able to hug him for real face to face. Listening to him tell his story of what it was like, what happened, and what he's like today, and who helped him get there. That updates my heart. It reminds me, but for God's grace, we all could be down the rabbit hole. I'm going to say this. Got 5 minutes. I used to get dressed up, and I still do. I like getting dressed up. That's just kind of part of my personality. But I used to get dressed up and go to meetings all the time. And I happened to get a sponsor who was into that fashionable look, going to meetings, never came with rollers in my hair, never. And one day I was getting dressed for a meeting, and it was always over the top. It's just a meeting. Why can't you just put on jeans and a T-shirt? I'm not a jeans and T-shirt girl, but that's for everybody. I asked my sponsor because somebody had said something, and it kind of hurt my feelings. And I said, should I not dress up? Am I doing too much? And she said, no, baby, in fact, it's good for attraction. That don't sound very humble. I said, well, what do you mean? She said, baby, what you do with the women when you dressed up, some girl didn't have a mom like you that taught you how to put on makeup and put it together and how to get, some girl might admire you and might want to know, how did you get like that? Or how did you do that? Some single mother might want to know, how did you raise two boys in the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous who've never been to jail and don't have drug problems? One woman, you might be able to attract a woman or teach her how to stay single and not be in bed with everybody just because she's single. Or you might be able to teach a woman how not to be a divorcee twice like you and be better than you. She said, but because the attraction sometimes is just as superficial as a makeup job, some eyelashes, and a car. She said, and once you get that stuff, if you're going to get anything, use it, because when it brings them into your 6 feet circumference, then you can tell them about the God you serve. Then you can tell them about wiping away the wreckage of your past and making amends and always looking at yourself. Then you can tell them about the best antidote to selfishness and self-centeredness is helping another woman. Then you can tell them about how fear of financial insecurity will leave you if you start taking care of finances and treating them like it's a gift from God. Money's not the root of evil. It's what I do with my money that's the root of evil. And then you can tell them how not to go to bed with 5 and 6 men in the same home group and wonder why you feel real holy when you're sitting in there. Then you can tell them about how to be of service and help another person. What about one of them old timers that's in a wheelchair? Go pick her up. Go get her some groceries. See, if you get them within, and you might attract them like these times. Once you get them within here, then you can share the good news of how you recovered a day at a time, and how do you update your hardware, and how do you keep yourself abreast of it, and how not to get overwhelmed by the stuff and the things of this world and of this life, but still how to maintain and sustain with God's help. And when you see no way out, you can tell them about the hope you've had by praying and doing a third step. God, I don't know what to do. I don't know how this is going to happen, but I turn my thinking and my actions over to the care of you, because I can't care for it. Because when I care for it, I start to manage. And when I start to manage, I start to control. And when I start to control, I start to manipulate. And when I start to manipulate, I start to dictate. So it's best for me to do a third step. And that's how you become successful in life. And you start, see, I didn't come to be 34 and homeless. Let's talk about what's real. I didn't come to be 34 and raggedy. I want to be something that girls say, hey, I want to be like that. Girl, you want to go back to school and get your license? Let's clear away this stuff that's blocking you from God so he can give you what he's always wanted to give you. I always say that God has a spiritual escrow account, and he's just waiting to give it to you. But if I'm blocked with ego and pride and selfishness and self-centeredness and resentment and fear and immoral sex conduct and financial mismanagement and all this, no wonder he can't penetrate the glass ceiling over my head in my thinking, because I'm so full of me that I'm missing the point. So what I do is I try to help women get all that garbage out of the way, and we have a plan of action. We had a plan of action, and then we have a plan of action. I'll say this and be done. Then we can add on to the end of that prayer the most important thing ever, which will always keep us humble, if it be your will. You can ask for anything you want to on this planet, but add, and it says, specific person, it says in the 12 and 12, add God's will, not mine, be done. So if you're going to have successes, give credit to the giver of the gift. Don't praise the gift. My name is Leslie Strange, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. And thank you.
Leslie, that was absolutely tremendous. Thank you so much for that Sunday soul food. And